Well, hello, boys and girls.
Hi.
What a wonderful day it is today in our money-based economy. Well, sit back and relax and get ready for the guy who's about to ruin everything.
I'm puzzled. Are you really seriously suggesting that Jesus Christ was a mushroom?
Wait, Jesus was a mushroom Roberts.
Yes. You are dealing with a secret cult, a secret society.
Welcome to Waning Interest.
Welcome to the Waning Interest Podcast, number Hate. April 10th, 2022. The Babbling Dabbler, the smallest click on the internet. The pinball brain in your favorite machine. Can you see the T2 thing? Clink, 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 clink. Pow, pow. Fuck, I love that game. I want one right behind me. But this is like a diary. Or a book. But not as stale or coherent. Sometimes. From a more mentally challenged Forrest Gump. I'd like some peas, but not right now. Guys, so how about this? This is special. That's the chair, not me, if you heard it. Because I know I got a good mic.
I'll have what you're having.
Oh! You've heard me speak of this person many, many times from either this podcast or the Paulcast. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen, it says, I thought it was going to say me, Kimba. Damn it, you ruined my joke. Hello, dear.
Hello. The me is silent on the screen.
Where did I just write that? I just wrote something really funny. Me, Kimba. Oh, it's in the description of the video. That's what it was. Is it me and Kimba? Or me, Kimba, and Kimba? Me and me, Kimba. Or me, I don't know. You'll see it in the fucking, the thingy. Wow, this is so exciting. Isn't it, Lisa? Anyway.
You ain't even got it licensed, Lisa.
Oh my God, we used to do that so much. Weird science. Well, my nuts are halfway up my ass, but other than that, I'm perfect. But the greatest fucking moment, and all the great moments in that movie, Weird Science, one of my favorites is in the bar, the jazz bar or whatever it is, and Wyatt,
baby.
That's true, baby. But when Wyatt goes into the toilet and he backs into the stall, shuts the door, and it pans down, and you see the other 2 feet in there, and he goes, well God damn.
Apparently, we've seen that movie just a couple of times.
Yeah, almost as many times as I've seen Arthur. It was one of my favorite things to hear from a whip, part of the Waning Interest podcast pack. And I wouldn't even think of it myself, but because in the last few podcasts I've done a lot of laughing since I switched to the
decaf.
Yeah, a little bit more high on life. With the video cast and having people on like this, I have fucking lost my shit over funny stuff that's happened, that they've said. And I didn't really notice it, but then somebody went, you sound like Arthur when you laugh. I'm like, Arthur Bach? Where's the rest of this moose? Of course I do. I've only seen the movie 97 fucking times. I have counted.
And I know, and you're smoking and drinking, and I've got to go to work, so I have to be completely sober for this. This should be fun.
Just like always, everybody's living vicariously through Wanus.
Yeah.
God, that didn't sound right. In either capacity, the anus part or the Wayne part. Huh. What do you think, Lisa? I don't know. What do you think? I know. I love... You remember Lisa, right?
I don't know.
Lisa Lickery? You don't remember
yeah.
Lisa Lickery? Yeah,
Sure.
That's who that
Oh,
cackle
that's who
is.
that is? Okay.
Yeah. That's her cackle and all.
I was not familiar. I was not intimate with her cackle. No, so...
Some people have asked that they want her to be on, but like you are right now, but like I do the normal one. I mean, they want to talk to her like this, but for a little bit, I've had people go, you should have her on because you've talked about how she laughs, but audio only. So like she's in the background, but you do like you're doing the solo podcast, so you actually have an audience, and it's not all dry humor like Neil Rogers or you, where there's no audience that you can hear. There's a huge audience, but you're not hearing them. And I'm like, that's a fucking great idea. That's a great idea, and we're gonna do it soon, cool. and the podcast too.
Well, tell her I said hi. I don't even know where she is these days. So.
You say hi. She's going to watch this. She watches this just to hear herself
Lisa.
cackle
Hi,
all
Lisa.
through. Hi, Lisa. So, I've told the story before, but there's always new people. So quickly, when I got into radio, kind of like William Shatner got fucking Star Trek on a lark, even though I fucking loved radio, and my dad, I think I remember telling you, my dad worked for Dictaphone in the 80s, and he actually used to service some of the machines. Yeah. How gay that sounds, but he used to service the machines at DC 101 when Howard was there. My dad was such a geek back then, he saw Howard in the hallway once and invited him to the Dictaphone Christmas party.
But when you get to say, what do you do for a living? I service dictaphones. Not really. Not really a bad thing.
For people that are, what's the
I've been known to service a dictaphone in my day.
I think this is where that Arthur thing's coming out.
But really, I used to have to service them. I used to have to change them out back in the old station.
Right. Yeah.
So I really did service dictaphones.
As you're saying that, all I can see is the picture of you kissing Steven Tyler.
Yeah, well.
But for people that don't know, that if they're not looking it up on the Googles or the DuckDuckGos, the old reel-to-reel machine, those big reel-to-reel machines, and then the little machines that doctors would dictate. Usually doctors had those, or lawyers had those little dictation machines, like the original fucking, not a cell phone, but
and that original
that little cassette tape.
Yeah, the cassette thing, and I'm talking about. I did the big one.
You did the big. Of course you did.
And then it moved, and it spun very, very slowly because it recorded every single. I can't remember how many days worth one reel would record, but I want to say it was a
3. Some of them were 3, or some the ones at WIOD. We had one that did. We had 2 that did. If I remember correctly, at IOD we had 2 that did 3, and 1 that did 1.
Okay.
I had to go through those when Phil Hendry got sued by Brian Cox. I had to go back all the way through those because I had to go. They assigned me the job of going through all the tapes where Brian was mentioned for their lawsuit in all the Phil Hendry shows. So, I'm getting paid to sit in the studio and listen to Phil Hendry. Boy, this sucks.
That's horrible. And now it's all on computer. So.
Where the fuck was I? Oh, at the beginning, the lark. So then in the early 90s, I wanted to, speaking of bowling, that's what I wanted to be. In the early 90s, before I got into radio, I grew up in bowling centers because my dad he was a pro, and he had a pro shop in Reston, Virginia. And in a bowling center, he used to drill, if I can say that, he used to drill balls for, I have to change it now. He used to drill balls for commanders, if you get the drift. Mm-hmm. You get the redskin thing? Oh, okay. I met Joe Theismann when I was a little kid.
Uh-huh. So we've got dictaphone balls and thighs. We're hitting everything. We're hitting all the parts.
And if you get enough Crisco, some of those pins can be used for certain things. Anyway. Woo. Oh, now we're getting to the anus part of Wanus.
Like Rocky Mountain Hospital emergency room. The 7-9 split. Try to pick that up. I tried. Got stuck.
Now you got me thinking of the Ron and Ron show with the porn star who used to shoot ping pong balls out of her punani.
Ooh. Yikes.
That's what it's. I held the microphone to her vagina to hear. No cameras.
Good work
but
if you can get it.
But you got both Ron and Ron back here with paddles swatting at it as it was shooting across the room.
Oh, I'm so sorry I missed that day.
But they were one of the other inspirations that led me to you, Ron and Ron. During that time when I was a bowler, I was a painter during the day. And I had this one gig down in Kendall. It had to have been, when did Ron and Ron premiere? When did they take your spot in the morning? 92, right?
Was
Wasn't
it?
like somewhere in 92?
Yeah, 92 or 93. I did mornings
And-
for a year, and it was either 91 to 92 or 92 to 93. And I do know because it's in one of my podcasts. I just don't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the two. It was a couple of years before I started radio school, which was 94. So I think that, yeah, because I was a big listener for a couple of years. So I think it was 92. Anyway, at least we're landing in the middle.
We're close.
And I was doing this gig. I lived in Sunrise, and I had to drive all the way down to Kendall. I was, you know, that 11-story parking garage that's right there by the Metro Rail in Kendall by the mall. Which I
Oh,
don't
by the
know.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That 11. I painted the outside of that on a swing stage. Not only that, but all the fucking pipes on the inside too, with for the water. What do you call it? The thing for in case of a fire.
The thing for the thing. So that in case the thing.
Right, for the anus and the wanus.
Sure.
In the inus and the uppus. And the
Josephus.
right. Fucking great landing. Painted almost all of that. Had a hand in it anyway. But driving down one day because it was such a far drive. I had to get up pretty early. So at 6 a.m., I was always expecting me, Kimba, you know, in a music intensive, you know, morning show. And I still had another half hour to go. When 6 o'clock, I still had about 30 minutes of a drive. And I'm waiting to hear, I'm thinking I'm going to hear that. And then all of a sudden I hear this music, I think it was Letterman music, right? And it's da-da-da, that's the thing. And then I hear Fezzi. And now, coming to you live from the Rod and Ron Studios in Tampa, Florida. The Rod and Ron. I'm like, what the did I hit the
What
right?
just happened? Yeah.
What the fuck happened to my radio? That says 94.9. What the fuck? And what the hell is this? And then they come on and they're talking about how they had been banned from the air for a while because of one of the live gigs, I think, in Daytona. Some nasty stuff went down. So they had been off the air all over for a while. And I had never heard these fucking guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's my Kimba? But I became a fucking fan. It got to the point where on that job site, I turned everybody into a fucking Ron and Ron fan. It got to the point where I'd pull into the parking lot where everybody was. Almost everybody would have their doors open. Fucking Ron and Ron blaring. I'd get out of my truck. Dude, did you hear what fucking Fast Daddy did? The song that he did? Did you hear what he said to Fezzi and what Flipper did? Yeah, of course. I was listening. It was fucking great. I took a day off of work. My bosses let me on the next gig that I had after that was over. I had new bosses. They let me take the day off for the, remember when they were supposed to do the Button South live gig? Mm-hmm. And then it got canceled because of it was supposed to be in Miami originally, but they said no after up to 2 weeks before. And then they had to move it to the Button South because Flipper, they wouldn't change the name of Flipper's band that was called Dead German Tourists.
Yes. Memories.
There'd been a couple of German tourists in the early 90s that had been killed in Miami, so that's why they named the band that. So, but they wouldn't change it, so the venue, it wasn't a Hard Rock. What the hell was it? It was supposed to be someplace farther down in Miami.
There was not only from the venue, there was like a big uproar about that in general.
It was so stupid. But so they moved the Button South. When my girlfriend and I got there, we couldn't get in because it was fucking packed. There were people all outside. It was insane. Oh, that's right, because they were on Zay. You know what the fuck happened. Were you there?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, usually.
Holy shit! I don't think we ever talked about this.
Well, yeah, because usually when they bring in another show and you're
the other jocks are there.
Yeah, you're gone.
Oh, yeah, you got bumped. That's right. I left that part out of the story. When they came on, you were on the mornings, but you went to nights from 6 to 10.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I was still there. And then yes, I was at the button and it was packed.
It was insane.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was lucky that I was still there because usually you get fired when they put somebody else in your shift.
Right.
So they just kind of bumped me. I was originally supposed to go to afternoons, but I ended up going back to nights. That's another story.
Was that when Stancil came in?
He was already there.
Was he already there? Right.
Yeah.
Because you two were my favorite jocks.
I'm going off camera for a second.
Beauty.
So don't I put something too far out of reach?
Oh, I've had those problems. Oh, it's a water bong. Oh, you just reminded me of your
You're gonna hear ice. Yes.
Oh, just your drink?
Ice, baby. It's totally water.
I had to one of the things that popped into my head as I'm walking around in my place doing shit before we were going to do this, like yesterday. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember the kaleidoscope story, which is even a bigger story because it was one of the Paxson Christmas parties that the after party ended up at your house.
Oh yeah.
And you let me take that kaleidoscope that Riley ended up ruining it from finding it on the shelf and then sucking on it and on the paper part. And it just kind of, but you could still look and go,
Yeah.
Where was I? So yeah, so you didn't, at least, luckily you were still there.
Yeah.
They just moved you down, which was, that was a great spot. At 6'10", you did that for so long. That was you owned it.
Yeah.
Well,
that was especially for that time, given my age and everything, that was a perfect shift because you had all day off and then you still got out at 10, which was when everybody was just getting places, South Beach or whatever. So yeah,
which we'll get to. Yeah, we'll get to some of those stories hopefully.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of times to jump ahead for a second. Yeah, after I got into radio and everything, thanks to her, I used to once every few weeks I'd hang out during the show, like the second half of the show with her, and because you and I, and then we'd go somewhere after you were done. We'd go down to South Beach with other friends and stuff. God, that one night in South Beach where we had to park forever, and then we got all the way there, and then we couldn't do the thing, so we had to go all the way back to the car to go find to spend another 45 minutes parking. Like, fuck this place! I hate South Beach. Anyway, jumping back. Whoa, got a little cord there. That was sweet. So then I become a big Ron fan, and I also that weekend they also went to. Whoa, get this! I didn't realize these connected because a lot of the other part of this podcast is about synchronicities. I just realized one. Because we couldn't get into the Button South gig, me and Carrie, the next day they had another little small gig at. I can't remember the place. You're gonna remember it when I tell the other part of the story. A restaurant that's in Fort Lauderdale Beach. It's on the water. I think I want to say it starts with a B. Really nice little place. Anyway, it was the only time I'd ever been there. And I was a bowler. I bowled in one league with this one guy. Was it Rudy? You're going to remember his name. Now all of a sudden I can't remember his name. Randy, whatever. I didn't know he worked in radio when I was a bowler earlier before this. I get into radio and come to find out there was a guy, Big 106, sent the fucking thing up into the wires right outside the bumpers. Bumpers? Not bumpers.
I thought that was a Federal. I thought the theater. It
was a restaurant right it was on the water.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, there was a promotions guy who took one of the vans and he sent the signal, the antenna thing up and didn't realize he was sticking it right into wires.
Yeah.
And then jumped out of the van right into a puddle.
Yeah.
Went up like a blue flame right in front of a bunch of customers, right in the window of the restaurant. Now, I'm jumping ahead, but that's where the Ron thing was, where I actually saw them. This is beforehand. This is a couple years before. I didn't realize that part. That's where Carrie and I actually met Fezzi and watched them do other stuff. Live gig, but without being on the radio. So then, a couple of years later, bowling thing, and I'm a painter. My dad's mad at me because he wants me, you can be a painter. You can do more than this. He wanted me to be a sports broadcaster. I loved radio, and I loved Ron. I was such a big fan. And one day he gave me this ultimatum. You got to, in a couple of weeks, I want to know, what are you going to do? Because I kept telling him, I don't know what I want to go to school for. I don't want to waste any money.
What are you going to do with your life?
See, it's all tied in.
I want to rock.
Wow, I didn't think I didn't think D. Snyder was gonna get a mention.
Well,
So yeah, he did that, and I'm gonna be a fucking bowler, man. I'm gonna go put up numbers like Pete Weber. That's what I wanted to do. Turned out I wanted to actually put up numbers like Walter Ray, but I bowled more like Pete.
and I'll pretend I know who those people are.
Luckily, there are whips out there that do, so I don't have to.
I mean, I used to go bowling when I was younger. When I was a kid, I used to go bowling every Sunday with my dad, but I couldn't.
Did you watch it on Saturday with him?
Yeah.
The Chris Schenkel show, the with Chris Schenkel,
sure.
you know.
I have watched it on TV, but sure.
Chris Schenkel he did it for he was the play-by-play guy for the bowling for 30-something years. And he's well known. He was very, it was almost like he was doing golfing.
Yeah, they always, to me, they always sounded like that.
And now the color guy, Randy Peterson, that's been doing the other version of that, because they have rotating, for the last 30, 20-something years, they've had rotating play-by-play guys. Rob Stone, sometimes fucking Dave Lamont.
Really?
Dave Lamont's like the third string play-by-play guy.
Him I know.
So that when I'm watching, I'm like, look, I'm watching the fucking play-by-play I used to work with, doing the play-by-play, and he's working with the color guy who used to be my coach, Randy Peterson. So it's like, oh, this is so cool. And Randy, my dad, even though he never went on tour full-time, he bowled in certain tournaments every year. His highest finish was 24th, which was like the last guy that we get the picture on before the final match, and they'd show everybody 6 through that made the 24-man cut, and he made it 24th. Randy won that tournament in 86, 87, something like that.
Nice.
So it just keeps doing this. But that was way before I ever met Randy, and Randy was my coach. Where was I?
So you were going to be a bowler. That's what your
wanted.
dad.
Yeah. So he kept, what do you want to go to school for? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to waste your money either. So when I just, because he was, I'll pay for it. I'm like, I know, I'd get it. I started with bartending school. So I did. I went to bartending school, but it was before I was 21. So when I got out, they wouldn't give me a gig because I looked so young. I'm like, nah. And then I wasn't 21. Like nobody would give me a gig, not even fucking Fuddruckers. Ooh, shout out to Fuddruckers. So the 2 weeks went by, and I never really thought about it. All I thought about was bowling and painting and sleeping, and and Jack Daniels, and Marlboro. But now now it's natural lights. See, yeah, I had heavy shoulders, and he's putting all this pressure on me.
That's the elbow problem right there.
Bazinga! It was all of this. Shh, I'm gonna have to cut that out so the workers' comp people don't see that. So one day, so the 2 weeks were up, and one day, and during that week, I hadn't been listening to the radio in the day, but I knew Stancil was on from 2 to 6, and I thought he was the shit, and I knew you were on from 6 to 10, and you were the shit. But that week, I hadn't really listened to the radio, so I didn't know that Stancil was on vacation, and you had bumped up for the week, and were in his spot from 2 to 6, and this is like 4 in the afternoon, something like that, on a Thursday or something. And he comes up to me, and he's like, pops into home from work, because I lived with him for about a year and a half when I first moved to Florida, and then went back after girlfriend stuff, but anyway, for a little bit. But anyway, he comes home, and he's like, so you make a decision? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to have hamburger helper tonight. He was like, and then broke up laughing because he knew, we were more like, he was like more like a big brother. So I go, yeah, radio. And he's like, okay, what are you gonna do about it? Because I was expecting him to go, what the fuck are you talking about, radio? That's what I was expecting. So what are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna go make a call right now. I'm actually gonna go make a call. I started to bullshit him. Just fucking said it. Just spewed it out. I went into his room to use his bedroom phone, call Zeta, to call Stancil. Stancil, I'm a big fan. How do I get into radio? Not realizing that he probably gets 17 of those fucking calls a day. And not only do I not get Stancil, I get you. Who's ruined my life since.
I know. Blame me.
Woo! I'm not
Yeah,
even
Stancil probably
drunk.
would have hung up on you. So
He would've.
he hung up on who did he hang up? That's a funny story. Digress for a moment. James
Please.
Hetfield was scheduled to call, Metallica singer, and
Papa
I was
Het.
doing middays and Steve was doing afternoons at that point. And he never called, which happens sometimes. Usually if they're doing a bunch of calls at once and they're taking longer and longer, it just never happens. So I didn't think anything of it. And I didn't say to Steve, oh, James Hetfield might call, because I didn't think he was going to. I thought something happened and he didn't call. Well, he calls the hotline and Steve answers and he says, yeah, hi, this is James Hetfield. And Steve's like, yeah, hangs up on him. He calls back. He hangs up on him again. I don't know who this, and then in between the second and third, bless Hetfield, he called 3 times. In between the second and third time, though, I happened to come in the studio and Steve's like, hey, some ass is calling up saying he's James Hetfield. And I said, oh
shit.
It is. He was supposed to call and he never did. He must have been really late. And he's like, oh my God.
Now I know where the lyric, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire comes from.
That's my favorite lyric of that song is, ooh, yeah. I like when he barks. No, that's it. Ain't my bitches when he barks.
He is the wolf.
He totally and full on barks.
He is the wolf.
Yes. Anyway, so
Oh,
that was
man.
my story about Steve. So
That's
he would have hung
fucking
up on
awesome.
you.
That is awesome. Now he probably would have. He probably would have. And what's funny, as I've told the story too, is one of the weirdest things about Stancil was how many. Well,
There's many weird
yeah,
parts.
yeah, exactly. But I'm not here to bash. But no, the cool part about that was he was one of my inspirations, and I didn't mean to. I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Even though I used to sometimes I hung out with him like I hung out with you a couple of times in the studio, and then hung out in the studio while he cut commercials and sat behind him while the reel machines and cutting commercials and doing stuff. And then 5-6 years later, or whatever, when I start doing voiceovers, Doug Turkel says to me, and a few other people, you kind of sound like a younger Stancil. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. No way. And I'm okay, I can still hear it. And that's fucking cool. I never heard that. That was one of those cool things that, another thing that happened. Like, I didn't try to be Stancil. If I had been a jock, I would have, blended the two of you, basically, is what I would have done. But when I luckily got into
That
talk
would have made
radio.
an ugly child.
And here we are.
Here we are. I just hung out with him last night, so that's even funnier.
No shit.
There was a Button South reunion.
Button South was a cool rock club in the 90s, late 80s and early 90s in South Florida.
Now it's a strip club.
Right on the line of Broward and Dade County.
It's a strip club now. So that's not where the reunion was, but it was, all
No.
Steve and Bill Murphy and Julie Guy and a bunch of the bands that used to play at the Button South all the time were there playing.
Where was it? Where did they?
It was at Galuppi's, which is a club in Pompano Beach. So, yeah, so everybody, they usually have one every couple of years. Because that was the place to go for many years.
Oh, man. Carrie, the girlfriend that I mentioned earlier, where we couldn't get into the Ron Ron gig. There was one night we went there. I was so fucking drunk. The band was so good. We danced, and I fucking thrashed my head. She had to carry me out of there. I could not hold my head up. My neck was literally fucking spaghetti. I could not hold my head up. I kept doing this, and actually to try to walk to the car. Like, oh my God, I can't. My head is.
Well, that's what I
whipped it so bad.
I said, if you remember the Button South, you probably weren't there. It was up until 6 a.m. So
yeah, that was that. Oh man, being 22 years old, I thought that was the coolest fucking thing in the world.
more than a few times, you just kind of left there and went to work. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine the blow that and I never did cocaine there. This is before my cocaine days. When I was there, Jesus Christ, what did I miss?
I never did it at all. So there you have it.
Get the fuck out of here.
Not once. No. News flashed. Breaking news. No, I've never done that.
That's me not believing you.
You don't have to believe me.
No, I do. I actually do believe you.
No, yeah.
But that is a moment to be held. That's got to be a clip. You understand that, people? This is a rock. This is a rock jock for how many years? Many years. Not to show your age or anything, but anyway.
I started as an embryo.
Never
so
did blow.
no. I was just talking though with a former bouncer from the Button South last night who was there. And there used to be a little office, right? When you walked in the Button to the left, that's where you would pay the cover if there was one. There was just like a little box office window kind of thing. But it had a door. It was a little office. And one night I was there and I think I had just walked in and one of the other bouncers, not the one I talked to last night, one of the other bouncers is by the door and he's like, "Oh, you got to come see this." And I'm like, and he's like not talking to anyone in particular. So I start walking towards the window and the bouncer I know like jumps in front of me, goes, "No, not you, not you. You don't want to see this." And I'm like, okay. Turn out there was a girl satisfying one of the other bouncers in the little box office. And another bouncer was trying to get all the other bouncers to come look in the window and watch her.
That sounds like a story from the Comedy
Watch
Store.
her service the dictaphone. See, it all comes back together. And bless him for jumping in front of me going, "No, he wasn't talking to you. You trust me. You don't want to go over there and look." And I'm like, "What?" And I went, "Oh man." So I was forever grateful that he stopped me from seeing that. But
That's it. That's so great. Rock clubs and comedy clubs, same kind of story, dude. When did I start really hanging out at the store? When I was doing the Conspiracies Now with Tripoli, it was mostly 2019. Basically, the first half of 2019, we did that. And the stories I would hear, that's kind of shit that the deep. I know you hear comedy store stories when you listen to Rogan and other comics that have been there a lot, but when you actually go hang out there and you're there a couple nights a week, oh, dude, I'm starting to hear myself back now. Why? Why has that changed?
I do not know.
I don't either. And even when I talk low, I don't like that.
Now pinch hitting.
I don't like
Manny
that.
Mota.
I don't like that.
I don't hear it.
I know you don't because you're not wearing headphones. This is going to mean that you're going to have to do most of the talking. I hate that because I don't want other people to have to hear it. Can you do something in your settings or something?
What do you want me to do?
I don't know. Maybe hit the echo cancellation. Hate it.
Oh, it's on. Echo cancellation's on.
Turn it off.
Turn it off.
How about
Can you hear me
now? Yes.
Is that better?
No, now I'm hearing myself more.
Oh, see, because I turned the echo cancellation off.
Is there a stereo thing right there?
Yeah, that's where we had the problem last time, but I'll try that again. Is that better?
Now I can barely hear you.
Yeah, that's why. Okay,
That sucks. So go back to where it originally was. Checkity check 784. Oh, I'm not hearing myself now.
Okay.
Perfect. That worked.
A fluke? Some sort of fluke?
Picking it up off a fly, sir. Okay then.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then. Now I'm gonna get a copyright strike. Got a copyright strike on a video. I muted it, and I showed just pieces of the first minute, I think, of a video that I did when I was in Nashville, Cletus T. Judd video. I had it muted. You can't hear the song. You just see all the funny parts. Fucking had me copyright struck for like 5 days. I couldn't release the damn thing. And it was it's 4 hours and 40 minutes. So I couldn't I couldn't download it because my computer couldn't take it. I couldn't download it, snip that out, and then pull that out. I had no room. It wouldn't let me. And then they had it locked on YouTube, so I couldn't just snip it out, even though I wrote them a thing saying, I got no problem. Okay, I don't know why you want it. It's muted, but I'll snip it out. 5 days later, they just fucking let it go. And it's a Cletus T. Judd song. No offense to Cletus, but it's a Weird Al Yankovic of country music.
I made a parody on my YouTube channel. I made a parody, and at the time, I just found different pictures to fit, and I just didn't even think about that part of it. Just getting pictures off the internet.
Getty images. Did you use Getty images?
Getting images, and so I strung it together as a visual to this. And it's legit just over a minute long. I rewrote. You remember that song, that silly song? What does the fox say? Yeah, ding 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 ding. So I wrote a song called "What Does the Fart Say?"
See why she's my hero?
And it's just over a minute long, but I put all these images of, like, because I say stepped on a duck, so there's a duck, and there's crop dusting pictures, images, you know? And unfortunately, it's got, I mean, like I said, you when the more views and the more followers and whatever, the with YouTube, the better. Well, this one, it doesn't count for anything. Like, I couldn't make, and it's got like 60,000 views of people watching this, and the comments are the most hysterical. Like, what did I just? Because I forget how long ago I did it. Might have been like 7-8 years ago. It wasn't a thought process. YouTube was not what it is now. Let me put it that way. And I'm just like, slap it on YouTube. And now it's got, and people sit there and watch it though. And apparently watch. I mean, like I said, it's only a minute long, so it's not taking that, but they'll never get that minute back. But still, I mean, it's funny. The end of it's just a bunch of fart noises, because why not?
That's one of the things I when I started this, I was like, one of the things I will not do, I will have drops, but I refuse to use fart noises, just to be different, because not everybody, but there's been so much great shit done. Like, no pun intended.
But I think it's funny. I got that. I never even
awesome.
paid attention. It wasn't until I was doing the podcast and I was looking to see what was in my, like, on my video channel, and I saw the ping that it got, and it's like, they didn't take it down. It's just like, you can never monetize this because you took these pictures of crop dust.
It wasn't even the song. It was the fucking picture.
No, the songs are well, and this I think the music might, because it was the karaoke version of What Does the Fox Say? And I sang my lyrics to it. I know. So it got.
If you want to find it, that's on KimbaKimba, which it'll be in the KimbaKimba. The link, your YouTube link will be in the description.
Yeah, I think it's YouTube. It's /her Kimba is how you find it easier, because sometimes when you search Kimba, weird things. Apparently, there's
I couldn't find
a porn star named. It's not me.
The same thing with, like I said, there's the Kimba that popped into the podcast stuff, which made me tell them about you. I couldn't click on her thing on the side, because normally everybody in the chat, you can click on the thing and then you go to their page and check it out. It wouldn't work. So then I tried to search her, and I was like, I couldn't even find you. There are so many Kimba things out there, and of course, a lot of them have the fucking white lion thing. But it's cool though. If you type in waning interest, it's the only shit that comes up. If you spell it right. Well, actually, sometimes in YouTube, it'll even come up if you don't put the Y in waning. It'll still come up interest. And you're like, boom, and then there you go. I did a good job with that, luckily. That's all.
Well, that's my podcast is, it's the only one in its genre that I know about, unless people have added on. You can't find any other radio, because it's mainly about radio. Right. But I haven't seen a lot of them.
Well, this one's a lot about radio. It started out as Mondays. I started out doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where the Monday and Friday were the Patreon hours, and the Wednesday went out as Unlocked Wednesday, and the second half of that hour was radio stories and stand-up jokes, old stand-up notebook jokes. And then I took, on the 50th whip, I took, oh God, it was painful, but I went back and grabbed all the Unlock Wednesdays where I did all the jokes, and I strung them all together. It's out as a promo there too. It's actually one of the most viewed fucking videos that I have so far, because it was audio only. I never promoted the YouTube page. So I don't have, at the moment, I still don't have a whole lot of followers. I never promoted it because it's audio only. I promoted, Apple, Spotify, and everywhere else, because what's the point?
So your most watched is a string of jokes, and mine most watched is What Does the Fart Say? So, so there you have it.
And the other most watched video I have, I think, is with the Paulcast, having those guys on, because everybody can see Danny, because this is going to get a lot of views, because it's a woman. It's the female thing.
Oh,
they're going to see you. I'm just going to go, just seeing a woman there.
my shirt up, whoa!
Oh, yeah, that's the question.
There's a feline behind me.
Oh, wow. Just like with Danny.
Hey, and she's usually not vocal either. Apparently, she likes you.
They know the camera, man.
Yeah.
Mike's
say hi?
Mike's kitty did the same thing, and he first got up and then was on his lap and then got around his feet. He was like, "What are you doing, dude?" It wouldn't leave.
You want to say hi? This is
Look at that.
Bufo. This is
Say it
Bufo. Oh God.
Buco?
Bufo.
Bufo. Bufo Toad.
Yeah, because when she's
DMT.
she's a rescue, and she could fit in the palm of your hand, and the person who brought her thought it was a toad on his porch.
So you haven't listened to this podcast much, have you? We talk a lot about the toad,
the
DMT,
toad,
the DMT toad.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've never done that either.
Neither have I. I haven't either. I've mushrooms and ibogaine are the basically. I've never done peyote, but the mushy is the best.
I've never done any of those.
You've never done mushrooms?
No.
So you can't. You're not even going to be able to tell a mushy story.
No.
All right. You're gonna have to.
You're rethinking this now. I do have a video called "What Does the Fart Say?" If you watch some of the videos I have posted in years past, you will think that I have done all of the above.
That's awesome. You're gonna have to click your setting thing again, because I'm hearing myself again. Why is that coming and going?
I don't know.
See if it just works with the clicking in and out of it.
Did it work now? Hello.
No.
SDs.
Now when you go, and then go back to your ridge or the OG.
Yep.
See, it's gone now.
Okay.
Why is it coming and going?
I don't know.
It's just like my dad. Anyway, the toad. I can't believe you got a cat named Bufo. That is Jesus Christ.
And it's female.
Synchronicity.
Which sounds very like a masculine name, but I couldn't. Once they told me that story, I'm like, well, your name's Bufo.
That's fucking great. Oh God, that's one of the things I love about doing this. The shit you find, and it just keeps going. Every fucking person that I've had on, people that I barely know to people that I've known forever. Man. So, all right, let's get back to real quick. So then I make the phone call to Kimba. I think I'm calling Stancil. Then you answer. I'm like, oh, shit, Kimba? Because I recognized your voice right away. And I'm calling the studio, and I didn't realize you were on the air. I didn't turn the radio on. I just assumed it was like 4 o'clock. I assumed it was Stancil. I didn't know the 4-hour increments of...
Right.
I had realized that from so much listening. And whoa, that's a surprise. And then I fucking ask you. I'm like, oh shit, I guess I will ask, and then I do, and you tell me right away, oh, you should go to this place that's it's the greatest school, you get on-air experience, and it's fucking cheap. And I went, I'm listening, sister.
I hear you. Well, actually, that's what Steve had told me to go to that school.
That's right.
But Steve wasn't he was working at another station. When
right?
I asked. Yeah.
The other rock station. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't really care for when I got to Florida in late 90. I didn't care for She.
Don't say that out loud.
I'm sorry.
I'm going off camera again.
Oh, she meant that.
I'm back.
Are you gonna show me oh, I thought that you're probably grabbing a she
No,
bumper
I
sticker or
I do have
Oh,
some
I bet you
old
do.
memorabilia from She, but I never worked there. That's another.
But that was your inspiration, right?
Yeah, well, radio in general, but that was
Right.
the radio station because Zeta was around when I was growing up here, as was She. Those were the two rock stations, and then K102 when I was growing up. But
Before my time.
yeah, K102 was awesome. It was like, what did they call it? Rock of the 80s. It was almost like an alternative station before there was such a thing.
Huh.
And
K102,
then
so that would have been what would
that would be what Magic ended up
Magic,
being.
right.
Magic, yeah.
Magic that was the station I listened to most, which you ended up at when I first moved, and I was a painter. Well, originally a painter when I got that first gig with a buddy of my dad's who had a small painting, and we did apartment repaints. In the morning, that's what we listened to was fucking Sonny Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. And then I'll get to that part. I'll get to that. No! Now I'll tell this story. So this is before I'm still a painter, and I'm on a different company because my dad's buddy ended up stopping his place, so I got the gig with the company that did the 11-story parking garage. And then when that was done, there was another contractor that came on, a family painting company that came on to help at the end, and we got along really well. And they were bowlers, and they asked me to come to their company, which was based in Pompano Beach. And I went to their company, and I was with them for a couple of years before radio. They were the ones that let me go to the Button South for the gig.
Got it.
But what was I saying? The company. So I'm doing this. I'd never heard Neil Rogers. I'd only read about him in the paper, and to me, in my head, the way they wrote about him, he was like a Rush Limbaugh, who I hated. So I assumed Neil was right wing, and he was the king of Miami radio that Kimba used to work with. We'll get to that at some point too, hopefully, before her time is up. That's why I'm trying to talk so fast. So I didn't really know Neil. I didn't get it, I never listened to him. I didn't listen to AM radio. I was a 20-year-old douchebag. So I didn't get it. I thought it was all Rush Limbaugh type shit. I didn't know there was really entertainment over there. I didn't realize anybody could be entertaining over there. And I didn't have a point of view either. So I'm a big Ron Ron fan. I'm in this, we're doing this complex of houses, and I'm in a house that's almost finished, but I got to go in and do the touch-ups where they have all these little stickers, where all these little touch-ups all through the house. These little pink fucking stickers. I'm in there with the plumber. The plumber had pulled up and pulled his van up to the back, your backyard, right to the door, the sliding glass door. And he had his van open, and he had the radio on. I come downstairs after he did that, and I'm in the foyer like, doing some stuff, and I hear he turns the radio, the radio starts blaring. He opens the door and whatever, and he starts doing his shit, and I hear commercials. And then I hear this rejoin, 610 WIOD, and I hear this puppy whimpering. And it's over the voiceover going, 610 WIOD. It's simple. You keep listening, and then you hear a shotgun go, ch-ch, or the puppy gets it. And I went, what the fuck is that? And then I hear Sonny Fox. Hi, this is Sonny Fox. I listen to Neil Rogers because I can hear the word asshole. I went, what the fuck is happening right now, man? I thought I was tripping balls. And then Neil plays a fucking parody song ripping Ron and Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Ron and Ron, they just aren't that funny. And something tells me they took lessons from Sonny. Ron and Ron, boy, they suck. Ron and Ron. Oh, shit, another copyright strike. And I'm going, wait, who the fuck is... I knew this guy was an asshole. Fuck this guy. I'm like, this is so great. And then it went... I was like I did a bump of coke, of the greatest coke ever, going, what the fuck? And then somebody fucking hit me with heroin. And I went, oh, fuck this. Like a speedball. Different, but anyway, you get the idea. Never done the heroin thing. And if I'm...
Oh, surprisingly, that's what I have done. No, I'm kidding.
Wearing that shirt, one would assume.
Yeah, I let them take care of all the drug usage.
So did I ask? Yeah, with album wise, she's obviously with the Aerosmith shirt. She's a super known as a super, as Kimba would say many times, which is one of the reasons I fell in love with her. Was I want to come back in my next life as Steven Tyler's harmonica.
I finally did ask him, and he said I could. So
So awesome. Yeah, especially with that Kiss pick. Did you show that before or after we started recording?
before, but I think it's too glare. There's too much glare on it.
I think if you get it really close,
If I just shove it in your.
your weenus.
Yeah. Oh, you can see the.
There you go.
Ooh.
Look at that. With the microphone. One of the coolest
Oh, yeah,
fucking
'cause I wanted
pictures.
Yeah, I needed the sound too.
One of the coolest pictures in rock history.
I think so.
Where was I? Fuck, I know I branched off. My mycelium network brain. I branched off into another thought. I went back for some. Oh, we were talking about with and the other rock station that I just missed when I first moved to Florida was which became the Coast.
Oh, GTR.
GTR, right?
Yeah.
The Gator. I always think of that when you ever hear the David Cross album? Which is so funny to hear after being in radio for a bunch of years and then getting out for a bit. And then in 2002, David Cross's album, Shut Up You Fucking Baby. And a coworker gave it to me. Have you ever heard this? I went, no. She burned a couple CDs for me. Threw them in the truck. And he gets to this part about when he, traveling around doing stand-up and you got to do morning radio a lot of times. In every fucking city, it's always these two dumbasses in the mornings, the Blump and the Gator. And every time I hear that, I hear South Florida's Coast, 97.3 FM.
It's like that. What is it? Family Guy, Dingo and the Baby.
I don't know if I saw that one.
Oh, what they
But
do radio?
They mixed it with the Dingo Ate My Baby story from
Yeah,
Australia.
that was the name of the morning radio show, but it had all the bum, 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 the wah-wahs and the ding-dongs and all the bells and whistles.
Which that's what it was cool about Ron and Ron. They didn't have that. It was like, yes, Howard used to complain and say that they ripped him off. On a level, yes, there was a ripoff, but at the same time, they stuck to their fucking breaks, so you didn't have to sit through fucking 20 minutes of commercials. And it was constant. As soon as something started to die down, they moved to something else really quick. And like Parody Guy, when I started working with the show in '97, and Fast Eddie I've replaced Flipper. Parody Guy had replaced Fast Eddie as the parody song guy, and they just Parody Guy. They could have had a better name for Fred, but he was so awesome. Fred was so awesome, dude. And what a fucking pussy hound. He made Steven Tyler go, dude. I'm sorry. Dude. No, no offense. And he said to me, he goes, dude, you remember as Clear Channel started killing the show on purpose, taking things away from us, taking the strippers away on Fridays, and so many fucking things, man. Taking so many things away that everybody loved of that show. And Fred goes, remember when we were fans of the show, what it was like? You'd listen, you tune in, and it was like as soon as something died down, Diaz would throw it. It was like a guy with 5 spinning plates. As soon as one plate started to slow down, you just moved to the next plate or whatever. That's what they did, and they did it so great for like a good chunk of years. And so they were fucking better than Stern. So that's one of the reasons it pissed me off when I heard Neil play that song. Fuck this guy. And then now I think that dude was God. That Neil God shit was no lie. And man, there's a story sorry, I don't mean to babble, but I know I'm on a clock, so I just love telling all this.
And he eviscerated everybody though. That was his thing.
And if he didn't say anything about you, you were nothing.
Yeah.
But
He was all right with
you
me.
got to work with him too. We both got to work with him.
Yeah. And he was always, I guess, nice. Like he was never too harsh with me, but he would make, well, basically because we both love Steven Tyler and Sean Cassidy. Go figure that one.
That's right. That's right. I remember you telling me that because I hadn't heard it yet. What?
We had the same love interests. So we had that common ground. But yeah. He would make fun. He would make, what did he call my car? I had like a really old, crappy car initially, because that was early on in my career. And
you were doing overnights, and he was the morning show on Zeta in the late 80s.
Yes. And and he actually requested that I be, because I guess I was doing maybe Friday and Saturday overnight. And he actually requested that I be moved and do Saturday and Sunday, because he wanted to make sure I was on before him, if you will.
He wanted you as a lead-in.
Yeah. Which, it's overnight, so it wasn't so much, but I guess whoever was doing overnights, I don't know if he just didn't care for that person. I don't know. But
in those days, in the late 80s, that's all. There wasn't much. I mean, that was a perfect time to get started. Where you started creating your fan base. He understood that you were creating a fan base.
Yeah,
he paid attention, so he knew what was going on, what you were doing. And he knew.
Yeah, and he wanted to make sure I was on every night that he was coming in the morning. So they actually moved my shift, which shows what power he had.
And then the only time that he would shit on you was to just get my goat. He loved me because I made a lot of stuff for him. I did a lot of shit, and I didn't overstep. I luckily never. I actually asked that guy if I could fucking rent the fucking room out of his house once, because I was stuck one year. I was supposed to move in with a friend and my girlfriend, and then it fell through at the last minute. And my dad was going out of his place. I got nowhere, and I live in Sunrise already. And I'm like, George, his producer, I'm like, I know this sounds stupid, but I know he's got a big house. I know he's got a couple of empty rooms. That's all I can think of. I don't know. He goes, yeah, sure, call him. And I did. And he's like, no, I would if I could. I can't. Sorry, whatever. And I ended up finding something. I ended up moving in with my dad's weed dealer. Anyway, I forgot about that. Jesus. See, it's like a diary or a book. Not as stale. And definitely not as coherent. What the fuck was it? Oh, so then my buddy Eric, who I met in radio school, who was a Neely since he was a little kid and helped me get into Neil, if I could say that. Thanks, Neil. That's a Neil joke.
If you would have rented a room for him, that would have happened.
Luckily, I hadn't started my gay for play or gay for pay stuff yet. Have you checked out my own?
Yeah, he only does it for play.
No. Shit. Oh, so that was fuck. That was like 98, somewhere around 98 or something like that,
Okay.
right? No. It was like 96. It was before we left and went to QAM. So it was 96. Yeah, it was late 96 or early 96. Because I was in Roxanne's during the Ron. Yeah, it was right before the Ron Aron stuff. Anyway, before I started working with them.
And I started working with him that was way earlier than that. It was like the late 80s, I want to say.
Right.
Yeah.
So that happened like 90, somewhere around there. I go to after I moved to Nashville, my ex-wife, got the gig as one of the CMT VJs. Fucking DJs and VJs with me. No offense. It's an incestuous business. My buddy Eric, who was still back in Florida, and sometimes recorded shit. He was pretty much a big geek. So he calls me one day in 2020. It was like 2002, and he goes, "Dude, you got to hear this." I go, "What?" He's like, "Hold on, let me get it ready." And Eric was one that we used to have feel like radio shows we have for 2 hours talking on the radio, and always think, man, I wish we could have recorded that. People would love to listen to that. That was so funny. Here we are. Mm-hmm. So he starts playing this tape, and it's fucking Neil in 2002, and he's on blah, 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 and somehow comes across talking about me. Somehow my name got me. Oh, I think he played my drop. I want to go out there and break that fucking guy's neck. It was an accident that I said while I was recording when somebody came into the studio. And then somebody told me that I should card it up for him, and I did, and he loved it. Anyways, he played that after a while, and he goes, George, by the way, what's up with our old Wayne? What's going on with him? And George says, and right before George tells him, oh, he lives in Tennessee now, or whatever. Neil does the whole thing. It's like, you still can't move in with me, sweetheart. This is fucking 7 years later.
Yep.
And Eric plays it for me over the phone. I went, oh my God, fuck, I wish I'd never moved. Jesus Christ, that guy was funny. Sorry.
My brother was also a huge fan of his and could do spot on Sonny Fox. So he would always call up and say it was Sonny and always get through. Because the screener.
Your brother was a chronic.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And then when he would answer, when Neil would hit the call, he'd go, "This is Sonny," and he knew it was the same guy. It was like, ah.
See, that was the other beauty about what a fucking awesome Neil was. George didn't have to screen the calls. The only thing George did was, where are you calling from? If he heard the voice that he knew was a chronic, you were gone. Mm-hmm. All he wanted to know was, where are you calling from? Neil didn't need his fucking calls screened. That was one of the beauties of the show. You didn't have to do shit, except, well, you had other shit to do because you had other people calling the bat line. Hey, tell Neil this. I got this for him. I got this for him. You're doing notes over here. You're not even part of the radio show, man. The phone thing. And Neil, just go to you clean, man. He didn't need that. He just went right to you because fucking guy was so awesome. Fucking crushed up. And to watch him spin that cart rack when he needed something, to just fucking zing and go, whoop, bang, play.
I think he used to have, his call, well, when Kyle was his board op, this is when he was at INZ. Kyle used to set up, because that's when I first got hired and I was training to be a board op. I would sit in with Kyle during Neil's show, and he would answer the phones, and he'd have like shouting matches with Neil's callers. No, he didn't want to talk to you. Click. It was like, and that was my intro to, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here?
These people, some fucking insane fuckers, man. He had some serious fans. Mm-hmm. Neely's, Jesus Christ, still blows my mind that I got to cut my teeth with that fucking guy, and Phil Hendry, and you, and Stancil, and Ron. I go back, what the, that's why, Forrest Gump, Bubba, I always have this craving to make shrimp.
Which kind of shrimp?
Oh, we're back to the Wayness. Oh, hello!
A whole field of wacky wheatus.
So, now, all right, I know. We went off on a few branches. Mm-hmm. So back to my first talking to you. Mm-hmm. And one of the funniest parts about that, you sat there and fucking talked to me for, it had to have been fucking 20 minutes. You talked to me, and actually, and then this, and then part of me's going, oh, this is so cool. There's really a school like this, and the other half of my brain's going, why is this woman still talking to me?
It's lonely in the padded room.
I'm like, this is too good to be true. What the fuck? And the funny thing is you butter it up like, yeah, you should, you try it. This is where to go. This is what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You have this nice little, the fucking, what's it, the witch from Wizard of Oz, the good witch, the one in the white, the Glenda. Yeah, you're like Glenda, right? So the next day, I call Miami Lakes Tech and talk to fucking Red Puddinhead, Mr. Bob Gaynor.
Bob Gaynor,
like you told me, the fucking the king. Oh God, that fucking guy! I can still just his fucking reactions to some of the stuff I did on the air, and just. Mm-hmm. And he was there when I won a fucking air award with Tara, when the Tara and Wayne show won, which I never thought we would. We got one segment up against 3 Boog Shambi segments for the weekend non-music fucking award. I'm like, Well, there's no way we're winning. Boom! What the
You did.
fuck? And then, thanks. Wow, my mom's gonna be so proud of me. I won an award for being a wise ass. But I didn't know until afterwards that fucking Gaynor was there, and I knew he was part of the committee and all that stuff. But I hadn't seen him beforehand, I had seen him like the year before, and we talked when I had something in for like a commercial or a promo with Mark, with Bart Kaufman. But then the next year, and I'm just, we got there, and I was mostly with Mark, and I was with her, so we were kind of stuck together, and she was pregnant with Riley, and I didn't really mix and mingle because I was just scared fucking shitless. My name is on one of those lists. Holy fuck! Not just for a commercial, a fucking show, an actual show, dude. I'm like, yeah, but we're not gonna win. And then afterwards, and I see Gaynor, I'm like, wait, oh my God, holy fuck! It circled back to this. Every kind of, because I've told the story once about how one of the times I was on when I was on air as one of the jocks at LRN at the school, the on-air experience that you told me to go get that you had. I was bored, and I decided we did the light jazz stuff, and Jerry Seinfeld was in town. So this is 94, and he was coming into town, and I decided to do like a Phil Henry thing. So I got Jerry in the studio. So Jerry, yeah, Wayne, and I did it much better back then. Because I had practiced it a lot when I was also doing the Ace Ventura shit, and then remember how if I'm at the board, like you're at the board right now,
Right.
behind you was the window into Bob's office.
Yes.
As soon as I was done and I turned the mic off and went and threw it to the news thing, I turned around and I'm looking.
Like, and then Miami-Dade school board's like, why are we giving them 2 hours on here?
That's why he was shaking his head, because the fucking guy, what's his name? Whatever. We don't have to throw that bad guy's name out.
Apparently when we changed it to a little more rock, that guy called, what the hell? What, Steppenwolf? Like, lost his mind that they're playing Steppenwolf on public radio.
Every fucking thing we did.
Yeah.
Laird Stewart got in trouble for doing a sports report and starting it off with, a baseball have been a very, very good to me. It was a fucking Saturday Night Live bit.
I know.
Jesus, man. They fucking complained about that. But, that's why Joe something, we won't say his last name if we remember it. But, yeah, that's why Bob was shaking his head, because he had just hung up the phone with him. Because he got fucking called immediately.
The stuff that poor guy had to deal with, I'm telling you.
And the coolest part was I didn't ask for, I wanted to ask for permission, but I didn't. And jump a year later, and I'm at IOD, and I'm talking to Phil Hendry, and he goes, Wayne, one of the first things I'll teach anybody is never ask for permission. Always ask for forgiveness, or you never get anywhere. So I went, that's what I was doing in school.
Yeah.
So you're like Glenda, and then I call Bob, and I remember that the conversation was like 10 minutes long, and he's like, Wayne, no, I do. He said something about hearing something in my voice, and I think I made a joke about Marlboros, which he probably heard 7,500 fucking times, which I didn't know at the time. And he goes, yeah, I think you'd enjoy it, but the business, it really fucking, it didn't say fuck, but he was like, it really, it's not, like, you don't want to do this. I'm like, yeah, I do. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Okay, be here at 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what he did to me too. Really tried to talk me out of it. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. I think he tries to weed out. And then when I did, he really, really, really wanted me to do news. Are you sure you don't want to do news? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty positive.
God, how boring. But there were some cool news people.
Yes. And I'm actually, that's what's so funny about it is when I have to go to work today, I'm actually working on the news station on IOD.
Get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
I did not know. I knew you went. I knew. Was it Big? I knew you were doing stuff at Big or somewhere.
Yeah, that too. It's a
Big 106.
Now it's Big 105.9. but it used to be Big 106.
Stupid. Go ahead.
And
That's what Howard was on in Florida.
Yeah, so I was out of work for like a year and a half because I got let go. 5 of us got let go in one day. It's just they were just chopping, and then the pandemic hit. So it was like, uh-oh. So no one was hiring for anything.
Kimba took a 1-2 shot from Apollo Creed.
I was a country song there for a couple of years. But then I got hired back part-time, but I got hired back part-time at IOD to do news. And I was laughing. I'm like, Bob, wherever you are doing this to me, full circle after all these years. Really, dude? I know he's loving life. And
Red Puddinhead.
yeah. And then I got full-time news and I do big, I fill in, and because there's no openings anymore because everything's,
So you are now, and I figured when you did the big stuff, I figured you just tracked it at home.
No, I'm in there, and then I do a station in New Hampshire, and I do a station in Ohio, and I filled in for other stations all around the country, which is I never did that until now. Like I never did that before I got fired in 2019. I never voice tracked for any other stations. I only worked at the station I worked at, and now I've been everywhere, man. Let me pull some cash on you.
No, I figured it was because of COVID stuff where you were just tracking it. I just assumed that because of the tech and
yeah.
Boy, I hate fucking tracking. I hate that. I hated when it started 20 years ago. Fucking hated it.
Me too.
And these jocks, it would take $3,000 a year.
Yeah.
Only $3 extra grand a year to be the afternoon on some other fucking place, and just only because all they had to do was record all their breaks for 20 minutes, and then it would go.
You would be surprised now.
$3,000? Fuck you. You're gonna have to click the thing again, sorry.
Oh.
We have to go in and out. Do a little of the old in out.
Okay.
I'd give it a lick too, a lick and a promise.
Uh-oh. Is that better?
I don't know. I'm not talking yet. Yes, now it is. That's gone. Why is that an in and out?
I have no idea because I ain't touching anything.
And to think, all these people that think, there's been so many people who thought we actually had a sexual relationship when it was always brother and sister. There were so many fucking people who have come to me going, well,
oh, really?
Back when you were probably fucking Kimba. I'm like, no, dude, no, that never happened. I'd fucking tell you. If I had sex with Kimba, I'd have a TV show about it. Are you kidding me? Fuck you. I'd have a whole new podcast.
I didn't know that was a thing. All right, well.
Many people assume because we hung out, because as after her helping me get in. Oh, that's another great story.
Bing bong. So
I started to school. Me and Juan Negrewela, who worked at IOD, he was in the class. He was already there. Dude is a great artist. He should be doing so much more with that. But anyway, he had this thing I noticed where he'd go in and ace a room. Remember how you had to go in and each room, you had to learn each room and progress?
Yes.
He'd ace a room, and while he was waiting for it to do the other one, he'd just sit there and fucking draw all this really cool shit. He drew my first 2 tattoo ideas, which were too expensive when I went to get my tattoo. So I had to, how about that one on the wall? Anyway, poor Juan. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, he and I were the only ones that were into rock in the class at the time. Everybody was into WPOW Power 96 and Hot 105. And one of the Spanish stations, there was a couple of people that were in that liked a couple of the Spanish stations, and so me and Juan were the only rockers. I immediately fucking carted up half a Dookie from Green Day, whole bunch of shit. So Juan and I connected on that part, and me going, dude, you draw so fucking cool. What else do you know? And that's why I helped the tattoo thing. Anyway, everybody was like, oh, you and your rock music, all this shit. Then, and we have every month, Bob would have a guest speaker, like you when you were there, the guest speaker stuff, or every couple of months.
Yeah.
And the coolest fucking thing happens. First off, we're supposed to have Randy fucking Rhodes as our guest speaker. And I'm just getting into WIOD because of Eric. Nobody else knows who the fuck she is. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then it's part of one of the reasons why it led to my job there a couple of months later, where she cancels because she wanted to do afternoons, and they were doing this whole Phil Hendry and her thing, but they put her back on nights, and she was pissed, and she split. And that was right at that time, and she cancels. And Bob's like, yeah, we can't have Randy, or she's not, yeah, we're not going to have our, I'm like, oh, fuck, wow, man. I look at Eric, and I remember going, call Kimba. He calls you. He goes, yeah. He goes into the office, he calls you, and he calls Barbara Sloan.
Yes.
Who was a comic and did traffic and weather and news. And he had you two in, and you guys come in fucking like Thor with Stormbreaker at the end of Infinity War. You guys leave. Everybody comes to me and Juan. Those guys, they were the greatest. This is the best fucking guest speakers we've ever had. I'm not saying that just because we're on this podcast. That's fucking true. You can call Susie Tavares. You can fucking ask her. She'll tell you because she went, oh my God. She hated it. She hated Zeta stuff. She hated rock. Power 96. Blah, blah. She went, Susie fucking Tavares from Y100, Power 96. Mm-hmm. She went, that's the best fucking guest speaker we've had.
Oh, that's cool.
And I went, that's why I have a crush on you, Susie. Because you know what you're saying. Oh, I haven't done it in years. So that blew, that was awesome. And at that point, between there, because you got me into the school, I called a couple of times. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I called you a couple of times on the air. Mm-hmm. Not to be on the air, but during songs, while you were off air. And we'd have fucking 45-hour-long conversations, 45-minute to an hour, we'd be shooting the shit. And because, of course, you love to hear the stories of what was happening at the school and, or whatever. And, of course, I'd babble like I am now. And babbling dabbler, baby. So we had become friends. And then I think a couple of times I went down and hung out with you at some places to see local clubs. Oh, you, Kimba. That's how cool this woman is. She was known also as not only, one of the best rock jocks and a huge fan base, but she was the one that for so many years pimped the fucking local rock scene in Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
Didn't sleep with any of them either, by the way. Just,
Told you she's the queen. So,
I mean, if there are stories about us circulating, could you imagine with all the bands that I used to hang?
I think I asked you a couple of times where there was a few, because I knew you had a crush on a few, and I remember a couple of times where I had enough to drink, or I'd go, so what's going on there? Nothing yet. No. Oh, okay. Just wondering. And then apparently nothing ever happened. No, there were a couple in 94, 93. No, what? See, 94. So it would have been somewhere in the 94 to 96 era, where we hung out a lot. Where there was one, I'm trying to think there was one you had a super, super crush on. You were hoping for.
I don't think so.
Yes.
A local band?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. But there was also Stacy who had the crush on the bass player for whatever band that was that I can't remember.
And if I'll do for the record, sometimes my crush on the band themselves, when I really, really liked a band, that's how it presented too. And that would happen with local or national. Like sometimes I was really fell in love with a band, like just couldn't get enough of the band, and it would appear like, oh, and that's just really how much I like music.
Was it before we started recording or after when I asked you what albums have you listened to today?
I listened to a mix today because I was out on a bike ride, so I had a bunch of different stuff going on.
I listened to I re-listened, I don't know how many times. Slash's Snake Pit, Ain't Life Grand. Mm-hmm. I fucking love that album. But I was hoping you were going to say Rocks.
Sure. I mean, I've listened to it enough that
it's in my top 10.
Yeah.
That album shreds. they weren't quite. It was like just right at the brink of the falling into the too much dope. I'm trying to find the Dustin recording. When did you send that?
Oh boy.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I just have, as I scroll through our conversation, there's just so many laughter things that you send. Where the hell is it? Oh, here it is. So, in that 94-ish era, yeah, 94 to 95, my girlfriend had a little boy named Dustin. And sometimes when I would call Kimba while she was on the air, I'd put him on the phone. And then one time, she recorded it and put this actually on the air. Let's see if I can.
Hi, Kimba.
How are you?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm playing songs. What are you doing?
Eating chips. Listen to 99.
And then boom, all the
Eating
stingers.
chips
Oh, that was
and listening to the 90s at 9.
Yeah,
What else?
fucking-
You know.
I got fucking tears in my eyes, man. That was so fucking cool. That kid is 20-something years old now. Holy shit, I'm
I
sweet.
know. That's insane.
We used to I used to have him when I would call Eric. Now we were Neely's. I used to have Dustin say, "Hello, Neil." He would, "Oh, Neil." How much time we got left? 'Cause I see it's 3:30, and I know you only got an hour and a half. But that's okay, even if it's going to be short. Luckily, there's always part 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, 85. Especially from my babbling.
Yes, because I have to be at work soon.
But let's talk about that fucking full circle. Because I worked in that build. Clear Channel came up, gobbled everything up thanks to Clinton deregulating everything because he's a corporate twat. And Clear Channel gobbles up everything. She was still with the other company. And then they built this big thing for 7 radio stations. I worked there for a couple of years. And now you're in that building that now WIOD is in.
Yeah, and I got rehired 20 years after I had left or been shown the door.
Fucking wild.
So
And
I worked there for 16 years. So I was in that building when they first opened it.
Oh, wait. No, that's right. You were there. Wait, that's right, because they bought Paxson. I'm sorry. I was thinking that came later. Holy shit, that's right. You went back.
And 20 years almost to the day.
So we moved into
I
that
went back.
building together.
Yeah.
And that's the building I was standing there talking to Bark Hoffman and Adam Kirshner from IOD
Yeah.
and Alan Leininger from production, who was one of my coworkers. Me and Mark run production.
I believe he's still there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Mhm.
Oh my God, that guy must wear a gimp outfit. He loves to take a beating. Jesus Christ. Holy balls.
He's still there, and
That's who was in the suit in Pulp Fiction. That's why he took that vacation.
Munoz is still there.
2 butts?
Dude.
Dude, Lisa and I just had a conversation about this earlier, but it's too far. I'll never find it, but yeah. There's somebody else in that building who's an engineer who used to say, "Manny's got TB." What? 2 butts.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. All right, Dan.
My old roommate.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Ah, jeez. Oh, God. Oh, God. I hope he doesn't see this because I'm not going to trash him. Anyway,
Your old roommate?
yeah.
Oh, that's a story.
no,
I didn't know about this.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Actually, Brett Brock, who I had on, who's 85? Whip 85, I think. He's from Nashville. So it was weird talking to him because it seemed like he's another comic and an artist I met at the Comedy Store years ago. And but listening to him, every once in a while I had to. I mentioned it in the thing in our 4-hour and 40-minute conversation. Like, it feels like I'm talking to my old roommate without the dark skin. It's so funny. That's the thing about Wagner. He looks Filipino and he's got that twang. It just doesn't fit. It never fit. That was one of the funniest things besides his laugh.
But he's one of those, all you had to do was say, all right, man, or I appreciate it. Everyone knew who you were talking
Appreciate
about.
it. Yeah. What was the other one? Oh, remember he got all frustrated once because he'd try to put things together and try to be, he'd try to be like us, creative and smart. But he was from Tennessee. So I remember him all pissed off once trying to say something and put two and two together. He went, like a boot on a toe.
Like a boot.
Oh, and it took me forever to go, like stepping on a toe, I guess. I don't know. And he didn't even know. He's like, I don't know. But I used to, me and him and remember Blind Mike?
Yes.
Board up Blind Mike.
Mm-hmm.
3 of us were like the amigos for a few years. And we used to go Christmas shopping together. Mike and I would just, we'd be in a store, like in the mall, big store, and we'd just do stuff to make David laugh, just
to get that laugh out there, yeah.
Echo through the whole place, and everybody, what the hell? And then you just look around, and if you had a camera, and you could see just everybody just going, and they just look up smiling, because it was just so infectious, because it's like, and it usually, what it started with, was Mike. And while knowing, and us not realizing, because we didn't walk around with him like holding his arm. What you would do was he basically would, it was like a magnet. Your elbow to his elbow was like a magnet. That's how he liked to do it. And whenever, weren't thinking out in public, I always forget and be like, oh, hold on, we're going to be walking by a lady right here. They wouldn't. Then he'd fucking drop a bomb as we walk by. And of course, he's looking at me and David.
And again, completely explains, what does the fart say?
Hey, look. Basically, this has been a conversation like mycelium, like a mushroom trip, where in the come up, where it feels like your brain is being split apart because you're not used to it. But in actuality, when you look at the scans and what happens, your brain it's doing this.
Ah.
Which is one of my favorite ways to explain it. But I know you got a blast. So, or is there is there anything you want to before
News calls.
somehow cut off my babbling for at least a couple of minutes before I play the close, because I got to catch my breath. You talk, woman, talk.
I talk
Boy,
for a living.
yeah, catch me fucking saying that again.
I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, in just a little bit. But I'll be doing news, and I'll be getting a big shift ready. A big shift, if you know what I mean.
Wait, now we got to say that. Yeah, that was. We needed a little more Lisa.
Wait, Bill Murphy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he and I have that. We have that running joke. We basically say you can pretty much after anything you say, if you say, if you know what I mean, it'll just sound dirty. But you just have to go, if you know what I mean.
And to take that a little farther.
If you know what I mean.
And this a little bit. Guess who dated my ex-wife before me?
Bill Murphy.
God, I love doing this.
See, this is why I did not dip my toes into the with one exception, fellow DJs or musician world. This is why I did not do that, because it's too
incestuous.
Although there was another reason, it was too incestuous, and there was another reason. I always because of how women, especially then, were perceived. There were few and far between in rock radio. And if you were, you'd all of a sudden you'd just be reduced to a groupie or whatever. So I always kind of put that line and boundary. And looking back, had I known some of the things that were going to happen, I would have made a few different choices. That's all I'm going to say there. A few. But I try to keep it very, always professional, because I didn't want that label or tag. And it would have been unfair, but it would have happened, because that's just how it was back then.
Yeah, and you're being as cool as you were to anybody entering,
if you know what I mean,
the business,
yeah.
Or anybody. You're always cool to everybody. Such a slut. But anyway,
And then, see, even though I didn't, everybody thought I slept with you. Everybody thought, I was having an affair with this guy or with the band. So, like I said, it did. Ultimately, looking back, I should have just done.
Yeah.
I should have done whoever I wanted.
There's been, yes, I know. Yeah. There's been many more that I've been accused of sleeping with just because they were nice or I was nice. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I never thought about it, but thanks for letting me have that daydream. Mm-hmm. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Because you were cool. Shit, what was my thought, man? Shit, I had a good one. It was a good one too. It was obviously unusual. Fuck. Oh, it makes me. I've thought of this. I've thought this many times. How lucky it was for me to have you as a base to come to. You were basically the base of my career, the literal base, which is cool to have that, because because then as we moved into the same building, and then I was, because for a long time we worked together, but we're in separate buildings, until that big one in the building too. Thanks, Neil. Until that, and I didn't even get to the working with Sonny Fox with Joe Rogan story in 2007. Well, part 2. Or 3, wherever it comes.
Part
Wow, didn't think there was going to be a Charlie Sheen reference, but there it is. If I hadn't had, because of the goofy fucking twat that I am, and I'm going to, push those boundaries, I probably would have been a lot more reckless if I didn't have you as a base to actually always go back to, because everything I always did, I would go back. Kimba, I did this. I don't know. Not every fucking thing I did, but a lot. You were like my big sister. Shit. I know you're over there, so you don't know. Maybe you heard about it. I don't know, but I did. And if I hadn't had that, I would have had I would have been out a lot sooner. With probably a lot more enemies. I still made my enemies, but they're douchebags that didn't get it. So,
that's right. Anyone who disagreed.
Speaking of Stancil, no, that's a joke. That's a joke. I just wanted to. I could have pulled any name from I could have pulled any name from an hour ago.
Exactly, but he's delectably bashable. So.
Yes, thank you. Dude was the voice of the Panthers at the arena for a while, or is he still?
He was. Bill Murphy was. Mitch Lewis was. There were several.
Mitch. Oh my God, we haven't even gotten into my Mitch stories when I moved to California.
Or Mitch Phillips. Say Mitch Lewis.
I assume Mitch Lewis was fine. That would have worked.
Yeah. No, he was already gone by then.
Oh, who was an IOD and she, and oh my God, we could spend 6 hours talking about Mitch, just me and him in California. Wow. The dude introduced me to porn nuggets.
Oh, I'm not surprised at that. He was an HR nightmare.
He goes, dude, this is 2003 when I first moved out there. I think it was in the first couple weeks when I first went to his house, because he took me around. That's he tried to get me into his agent. Glad they turned me. Totally different story if they hadn't turned me down, but I got a better one, just as good anyway. We're at his place. We're up in his, he had this, his house in Burbank. Sorry, Mitch, but yeah, you live in Burbank, whatever. This upstairs thing, almost like a tree house, loft sort of thing, where he has this little pad for the TV and all of his fucking weed. And then through that next door that almost looks like a ship door, is his studio, and it stepped down into it, and it was so cool, especially in 2003. Anyways, porn nuggets. Porn nuggets. Yeah, this is before the dispensary thing exploded, of course, so 20 years ago, almost. My dealer deals to the porn stars. It's fucking weed that was just these fucking frosty, giant fucking...
Right.
And I went, this is like my second week in California. I love this place. Anyway, Mitch and all this fucking turquoise. Oh, man.
God, I forgot about that.
Mitch Lewis. Roy! Oi! Oh, and yeah, another Neil reference. Oh, God, that was such a fucking Julie guy. Oh, man, all those fucking names. Anyway, the top 10 at 10. That was the only reason I would listen to She. Flip over from Zeta. I would listen to She for the top 10 at 10 because it was the only time it was consistent where it wouldn't go from fucking Journey into Guns N' Roses. Stop doing that. That sounds... Stop. Ew. Anyway, but the top 10 at 10 was always the most current thing, and Mitch, was the voice of that. The top 10 at 10, number 5. I just sit there, listen to that, going, God damn, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker would Wayne, when I first called him before I got to California to tell him I was coming, he's like, dude, I roll out of my bed in my underwear, and I walk upstairs, I smoke a bowl, and then I hit the ISDN line, and I do voiceovers, and I make money. Stop, you're making me come. Just get on. You fucking animal. This is so cool. Anyway, I'm sorry. God, this was so much fun. Part 2 has to be way more Kimba whenever we do it. Hopefully soon. The 100th. Whip 100 has to be Kimba Part 2.
Okay.
Absolutely. That makes way sense. I didn't think about that until right now. This is the other beauty of just me babbling. I come up with stupid shit, sister. Here we go. Let's rock it. And speaking of news, one of the greatest fucking news things, IOD in my early days, when I got that overnight board op gig and I got to work with Tom Hopkins for fucking 1 hour to see him. We got to smoke cigarettes in the control room, and he would smoke in the newsroom. And if you cropped the doors open through the studios, you could see into the newsroom, and him just sitting there cross-legged with a paper and a coffee and a cigarette, reading stories out of the paper on the radio. That motherfucker is so... That is a king. I was like, I could see a crown on his head, even though it wasn't there. What a fucking beautiful thing to do every morning.
I tell you what, we were extremely lucky to be in radio when we were.
Yes. I'm glad I was there for at least the ass end. Speaking of Waynes.
Very different animal now.
Yeah. I visited, last time I was in that building was a few years ago to see Lisa Lickery. She was working there. I drove over to see the Bohan kids from Naples. I was friends in Naples. I drove over for a day real quick. I stopped in there. It's like a fucking mausoleum, dude. Like nobody there. Everything's tracked. Everything's almost empty. I didn't even go upstairs because I didn't want to get TB.
Yeah, no.
I know some people will be listening and might, they weren't listening to the whole thing before, so bumped the reference. Anyway, all right, you got to go?
I got to go. Studio calls.
Yes, toilet calls for me, Holmes.
Oh, well.
This went, as usual.
I know.
Right before I do these, I'm like, oh man, what am I going to, and then I get done and go, that was fucking awesome, dude. Same thing here. Even though, I did a little too much, but it is the fucking Waning Interest podcast.
Yeah, it's like...
And you want to hear her Babylon?
You go to
her babbling Babylon? Go to KimbaKimba at YouTube. And the link will be there in the description. She's got a ton of stories over there to tell. And she's got to bump that back up. You need to have me on. All those
I
people
do.
you've had on. I went, wait, she had that dude on before me?
I can't tell you how many people have said
See
that.
this?
You better
See
have
that
me
dent?
on before so and so or me on.
Here,
I'm like,
here. There's like 5 dents in my chest. That's from that. I'm kidding. I know, dude. You've had
I
way
know.
more. You have so many people to have on. I know. I'm kidding. Sort of. Maybe a little.
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna let you get out of here, but I gotta play the close, Holmes.
Okay.
You gotta be there for me to hit this fucking ramp. So shit, I don't have my thing ready. Anyway, Corporate Report,
know what
Jimmy
I
Dore
mean.
Show, Russell Brand, Kim Iverson, but look for yourself and just a fun babbling lecture. Dabbler, you saw. Remember, Raul Neal, aka One. Sorry, very long head to bump comedian Lisa Lampanelli. Thanks, Gary. Daddy loves you. Messing with my peebles. Fuck, that was awesome.
Awesome.